Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In this video we will start with the first chapter in the second year of baccalaureate, which is the reactions responsible for releasing the energy stored in organic matter. So to have an idea about this chapter, let's try to get the title. In the title, it's too long, but we have three main words that they can help us to understand what we are going to see in the whole chapter. The first word is the reactions, the second one is energy, and the third one is what we call organic matter. So let's try to find the relationship between them. So organic matter, it's stored energy, it contains energy, and that energy can be released if only chemical reaction occur. So what is organic matter? What's the kind of energy stored in it? And what are the chemical reactions that we will see in this whole chapter? So let's start with a recall to try to define what is organic matter. So organic matter is every matter produced by the living beings, such as vegetables, animals, and microorganisms. We distinguish three types of organic matter. The first type is lipids. So for lipids, we can find them in so many ingredients such as avocado, olive oil, salmon, etc. The second type of organic matter is proteins, which we can find also in eggs, milk, in chicken, etc. And the third type is what we call carbohydrate or sugar. We can find them also in bananas, bread, potato, etc. However, no matter which type of organic matter, all of them stored energy, but we will be focusing only about one type of organic matter, which is the carbohydrate. As you know, even carbs are subdivided into several types that you already saw in the previous year, such as monosaccharides. So when we say monosaccharide, the first thing that we get in mind is fructose, glucose, ribose. Well, whenever you hear the end O's, it tells you it's a carbohydrate, and especially the monosaccharide. For the second type, it's the disaccharide, and the complex one are what we call polysaccharide, such as starch, glycogen, cellulose, etc. Even though the diversity of carbohydrates, we will concentrate on only one type of it, and it's the molecule of glucose. So as you can see over here, it's a molecule that contains three types of atom: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Let's try to count the number of each atom to determine what we call the chemical formula. So first let's start with the carbon atom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 carbon atoms. Let's go to oxygen. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 oxygen atom, and the rest are the hydrogen atoms. So we have here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 hydrogen atoms. So the chemical formula of glucose is this, is C6H12O6. So those numbers over here are only the number of atoms. So as we saw in the title, we said that organic matter, we are not going to talk about all the type, we will only be focusing on carbohydrate and especially glucose. So glucose, it has energy. So where is this energy? How we can release this energy stored in it? By chemical reaction. Let's try to think a little bit. When we eat chocolate or sweets, Anyway, it automatically goes into our digestive system, the mouth, the stomach, then it goes to the intestine. In the intestine, glucose will be transported into the blood, and the blood will transport glucose into our cells. So in the cells, that's where glucose will be broken down into energy by chemical reaction. So what is a cell? Where this is going to happen? When we ask students about cell components, many of them will respond that a cell is composed of 3 organelles. The first one is the cell membrane, the second one is the cytoplasm, and the third one is the nucleus. Well, that's not really a cell, because a cell is more complex than that. As you can see here, in the real cell, we have so many organelles, such as ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, the nucleus, the chromatin, the cytoplasm, the vacuole, etc. But in this chapter, we said we want to know where glucose will be converted into an energy inside of the cell. So in this chapter, we are going to be focusing only about 2 organelles. The first one is what we call mitochondria, and the second organelle is cytoplasm. So what do we mean by mitochondria? What's the relationship between it and glucose? All that will be explained in the future videos. For the cytoplasm, many of us knows what is a cytoplasm. So it's the liquid inside of the cell that contains all those organelles. If we separate the liquid from the organelles, we will not call that liquid a cytoplasm. We will call it hyaloplasm, and that's the second location where glucose will be converted into an energy. So the main question in this chapter is how glucose is converted into an energy into our cells. Well, the simple answer is by chemical reactions. So the reaction releasing energy we are going to see are subdivided into 2 types. We will call them 2 metabolic pathways. So the first pathway we are going to see depends on the presence of oxygen. So if the cell contains oxygen, we will call that aerobic pathway. So aerobic means the presence of oxygen. In this case, the chemical reaction that will happen into the cells are called cellular respiration. The second type of reaction happens when there is no oxygen in the cell, or there is oxygen but in a small percentage. In this case, we are going to talk about anaerobic pathway, and the reactions are called fermentation. So what is cellular respiration? What is fermentation? So first let's start with cellular respiration. Cellular respiration can be broken down into 3 phases. The first one is what we call glycolysis, which literally means the breaking down of glucose. Second, we have the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle, and then we proceed into the oxidative phosphorylation or the electron transport chain. For fermentation, we will see 2 types of it. The first type of fermentation is called lactic fermentation, and the second one is alcoholic fermentation. So in the next videos, we will get into details of each phase of the cellular respiration and each type of fermentation.